What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about electromagnetic interference, otherwise known as hum, noise. So when you think of a, single coil guitar such as this or this, any kind of single coil thing is going to end up having some noise. When we start to look at guitars that have P90s in them, they can be even more noisy. So, like this guitar right here. So this is one of those Gibson SG Juniors. It's got one of our P90s in it. And so this is basically, these are noisier. These are noisier than humbucker guitars. So if we're going to solve this problem, we need to either put a humbucker in the guitar or understand where the noise comes from and what it is. Electromagnetic interference is from electricity. So the interference, that noise, that hum, comes from electricity. Now there's a common misconception, though, that happens because a lot of people think that it is coming through the mains, right? Like through the power cord. And actually, some can come through the power cord, like through the wall. But the majority of it, 98% of all noise that you hear in your pickups or in your guitar, actually comes through the air. Anytime we have any sort of transformer, so the thing I always mention is like this big light. So this light that we use to light our studio, like when we do our podcast. That's why I'm doing it this way today, so you can see it kind of from the behind the scenes. So when we're sitting here doing our podcast or we're shooting a video with our normal camera, I'm using a different camera today so I can show you this. This big light right here is putting noise through the air, okay? Remember, have you ever had like set a cell phone down on top of your amplifier and then you get a text message and it gives you those little clicking noises? I'll give you another example of not prime real estate for guitar stuff. This room is right on the other side of the wall from my kitchen. My microwave is right here. If I have my earbuds in, right, and I'm listening to a podcast or something and I'm running the microwave, have you ever heard that kind of like mess up your earbuds? It will also do the same thing and create noise with my guitar. Same thing with the oven. So we've got the oven, we've got the convection oven, we've got the microwave oven, and then of course we've got the refrigerator. These are all large, high current, sorts of things that appliances that can cause electromagnetic interference through the air, not through the mains, but through the air. The other thing we've got going is I've got a TV over here. The same thing. Anytime you have a switching power supply. So a switching power supply could be a computer monitor. It could be, any computer monitor, a TV like this, desktop computer. They have a switching power supply, which is a transistor with a little coil and a transformer to make the voltage, basically all the different voltages that make a computer work. So that can cause noise. You can hear like a ticking noise. If you've ever been in a forum and somebody's asked a question about, hey, how come I'm trying to record my guitar with my computer and I hear this tick, 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 tick noise? And that's probably coming from the computer power supply. So you have to create distance between those things, right? So most of that noise that we hear when we're playing guitar actually comes through the air from electromagnetic interference. And it happens just everywhere we are. Now, certain, environments can be worse about this. So how do we make it better? Well, your results are going to vary based on a couple of things. One, how you have your guitar adjusted. Because if you like a lot of crispiness and clarity like I do, our pickups have a lot of clarity to them, right? Then you might pick up some of that some more. If you use a lot of gain, of course, that's going to amplify that noise because that's what happens. That noise comes through the air. It gets picked up by your pickups. I'm going to show you how that happens in a minute. And then it gets amplified by the amplifier. So if you use a lot of gain stages, then it's going to make it even noisier. So let me show you how this works. All right, so when you look at a pickup, it's just a coil of wire around magnets. Well, what is another thing that is a coil of wire? A radio antenna. Have you ever seen, maybe I'll try to find a picture of one, the old AM radio antenna that came with your stereo receiver for your house? You plug it in with a couple of wires. It literally looks just like wires like this. And it is a piece of plastic like a donut, and it's got wires wrapped around it. That is an AM antenna. Literally, your pickups become an AM antenna. So we've got that energy, like from this light coming through the air, a transformer, something coming through the air. It's hitting this like an antenna. It is sending the signal to the amp, is being amplified, and you are hearing that noise. What it is not regular, just these little few inches of wire that hook up your guitar, all the little things, the pots and such in your guitar, those are not antennas because they don't have enough mass and the proper arrangement to become noise. So we're going to talk about why that's important here in a minute, but that's not where the noise comes from. The noise comes from the pickup, not the wiring. A lot of people want to say that, well, I need to have this whole Faraday cage. We're going to talk about Faraday cages in a minute. Around my wiring. This is not where your noise comes from. This is not what gets amplified. The signal coming through the air, going to your pickups, is what's getting amplified. Okay, I'm going to show you how we're going to fix it using this pick guard. Somebody ordered a loaded pick guard from me this week with two P90s. And we did a custom thing where we deleted the volume pot. So we're going to put this pick guard together. I've got the P90s right here, and I've got all the pots available here close. But first, we're going to shield it. Now, when you get a pick guard made, it's got this little shielding around it here, but that's supposed to be quote-unquote a ground plane. That's not really a shield. I'm going to show you what a shield is. A shield is the largest possible piece of foil that you can put in your guitar that will then catch, sort of like a satellite dish, all those electromagnetic interferences. And then we're going to ground this, and it's going to catch as much of this noise as possible, send it to ground so that it cannot be amplified by your pickups. So that electromagnetic interference is going to still kind of be caught by the pickups, but it's really going to be mostly picked up by this. It's going to have a ground wire, and we're going to remove a lot of that from the signal. We're not going to allow as much of that signal to be caught by the pickups and amplified. It's going to be bled off to ground. All right, so now as we put our pickups in here now, and these are P90s, so they're just going to kind of be held in here. In fact, let me grab some covers. Hang on. All right, so our P90s are going to sit in there like that. We're going to put our pots in here. We're going to wire this all up. Now, there's a couple of very, very important things. I'll clean this edge up right here, and I'll clean this edge up right here. A couple of really important things about this. You can't just put foil on the back of a pickguard. It's got to be grounded. So when you put your pots in and you install them and you've got them all in there like they're supposed to be, what you need to do is make sure, because you're going to ground your pickups to the back of your pots, you need to make sure that there is continuity between here and here somehow. You can solder to the back of this if you want, or you can just rely on the contact of the pot against it. But you want to have, from the backs of your pickups your pots, all continuity to this copper foil. Because then what will happen is the EMI will be caught by this whole thing. Think of it like a satellite dish, because that's how a satellite dish works. A satellite dish actually takes radio frequencies, okay? It directs them towards the middle, which is a little low noise amplifier, which is actually, it looks like a guitar pickup, and then it gets amplified. So we're doing the same thing, but instead of trying to capture the energy and send it to the pickups, we're trying to capture the energy and send it to ground. And that will keep your guitar a lot quieter. Now, there's a couple important things about this. People are going to say, yeah, but Faraday cage, bro. I should go ahead and line the entire pickup cavity with foil and then put this. Okay, what you're looking for here is maximum number of square inches. Okay, we're looking for maximum coverage. When you look at 60 cycle hum, or 50 cycle, depending on where you live, 50 cycle or 60 cycle, depending on the country that you live in, the radio frequency, how to catch it, okay, there is a formula for the size of hole and whatever based on the wavelength. But here's the problem. 60 cycle hum is so big, okay, that it can kind of go through anything. So if you were actually going to put the shielding that would 100% shield your guitar from any noise at all, it would be about a 1/2 inch thick steel. Okay? You're not going to do that. That's not realistic. So this is really a Band-Aid. We're not, even if you were to encapsulate your entire guitar in foil, because math and science, you're never actually going to totally stop 60 cycle hum. It will help it some. But caging all of your controls only does one thing. It causes troubleshooting issues. I cannot tell you how many times I have gotten a call. Hey, I put your pickups in my guitar and they didn't work. Did you shield the control cavity? Yeah, rip it all out of there. I bet it'll work. Okay, something touches something inevitably shorts out against something, and it causes you issue, and it's not making your guitar any quieter to shield your entire control cavity. Here's why. For shielding to work, we need 100% impermeability, okay? And there's impermeability of the shielding material comes from two places. One, the thickness of it, which we don't have, and two, no holes, which we don't have. Any little hole, even the seams around here and the seams around here and the screw holes are going to allow EMI. Therefore, it does not do you any good to try to make some kind of impermeable, bulletproof Faraday cage in your guitar, because you're always going to have this right here. I mean, unless you put a pickupless pickguard with no controls, the pickups are underneath the pickguard, and you can create a completely grounded Faraday cage, then maybe. Even though, because it's 60 cycle hum, it would all need to be about a 1/4 inch thick steel for it to be impermeable to 60 cycle hum. Now, you're going to be like, that's not reasonable. I've shielded my guitar and it's quieter. I agree. It is a Band-Aid to a problem that can't be completely solved in normal conventional ways that we normally do it. So don't think about it too much. Just shield as many square inches as you can. Ground them. It'll keep it as quiet as possible. It won't be perfect, but it will help depending on other factors, like if you're next to a microwave or if you're next to high power lines. Like let's say you're next to the freeway and you got those high voltage power lines going from one town to the next. You might never be able to escape it, right? So this is all, there's so many variables here that I could shield a guitar and get some results, and you could shield a guitar and get different results. But the theory here is shield as many square inches as you can. We offer full shielding on the back of a pickguard as an option for any of our loaded pickguards. So if you order a loaded pickguard from us, actually all that's on 10% off this week on sale. And that will help if you want it. There you go. Shielding. I don't shield anything because I don't really care, because I don't think our pickups are that noisy, and I don't play in a noisy environment, so I don't really care about it. It doesn't bother me at all, a little bit of noise. But if you're really, really concerned, click the button and the drop down that says add shielding. We will do it for you, and we will make sure that your guitar is as quiet as possible with single coils. Put in the comments what your results are with your shielding endeavors, and let me know. I'd be interested to know what you found. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. This has been fun. We'll see you in the next video. Like and subscribe and do all the things. Like I said, Strat stuff, 10% off through the weekend. We'll see you later.